Scott Fletcher from Play Nicely, and yeah, my introduction to classical music was the Four Seasons, and still is. I don't think I've really moved beyond it as yet. So you'll forgive my naivety in this room, because I feel a little bit of an implant, because I don't really know much more about classical music or music other than what I've done for this, but it seemed to go down well, and so I thought I'd tell some people about it, or at least we've been asked to tell some people about it. 2013, Bristol Old Vic started their Digital Proms week, which will be running on. And what their remit for that was to slightly grating remit of bringing classical music to a wider audience, and the difficulties of doing that without totally undermining the classical music and sort of just putting a load of graphics on the front and actually ruining what would otherwise be a wonderful performance. One of the performances so they gave us a list of performances, said, okay, what could you do for any of these? And the one that stuck out, because I'm so green, was Four Seasons. I didn't even realize, in fact, it took me a few goes listening to it before I realized it was Max Richter's and not Vivaldi's Four Seasons. So that took a little bit of sort of learning. But what we decided to do was to create a reactive animation. So the Four Seasons, Max Richter's Four Seasons, is 45 minutes long. And as I'm sure most of you know, that it's based on sonnets, which is the narrative behind it. And so we're like, well, that's the basis for an animation. That's the least grating, the most consistent, most conceptually applicable animation you could do. So it's fine. You've got 45 minutes of audio, and that goes with 16 lines of a narrative. It's quite a disparity there. You actually, to try and create a narrative that will last that long, you have to skirt the line between sort of a bit of poetic license but not undermining it. So how did we do this, and what did we do? I don't know if the visuals have come up yet. No. Okay. So what we did was we make a lot of games. We do sort of computer vision, and we are far more tech creatives. And so we use the games engine called Unity, and that allows you to create a big 3D world that you can put different inputs into. So I'll show you the sort of 3-minute version of it first, and then explain how we did it. But each member of the orchestra, every other member of the orchestra was mic'd up, their input fed through the system, through Max, MSP, into Unity. And so you have different elements in the 3D world, such as a tree, that is related to the second violin, for example. And so when the second violin plays, the tree moves in that way. So we took different characteristics, signatures of the different players, and had a reactive animation. Now, this wasn't reactive it wasn't Peter and the Wolf, and it wasn't, so it wasn't direct, it wasn't karate, it was Tai Chi. So it sort of flowed far more and wasn't quite as direct. I'll show you a 3-minute abridged version of it so you can make sense of my ramblings. So that's that. It's quite interesting when you make a DVD of a live performance and then create it on a Mac, pass it over to someone on a PC, and then all the timings go, it was in time, once upon a time. So what did we do? There was a huge process in this. Now, as I say, I don't know anything about audio, but I don't know anything about music composition. So there was many Excel sheets, and what you essentially have to do is I first listened to the Four Seasons, and listen to that on loop, and I have the sonnets there as well. And so I'm listening to that, and I'm first sort of saying, okay, well, this sound, this is spring, and this is a thunderstorm. I can tell this is a thunderstorm. So, okay, this line, this passage of the sonnet, this seems to last from this time to this time. And so I go through working out, in my way, sort of how long each line lasts in Vivaldi's version. Then you then have to take that to Max Richter's version, which is actually considerably different. And so he's changed the audio, but then you have to also assume that he's changed the narrative that goes with it, because the two are interlinked. So, and then unwillingly having to edit the narrative to try and make the same story fit. And things happened in different orders, not seasonally, but you know, it's all about clouds and weather and hunters and things like that. It's all lovely alpine narrative. And so I then have to take the narrative timings that I've established through Vivaldi's version, and then sort of take those and then look at those while I'm listening on loop to Max Richter's version. And so what results from that is a 45, sort of a narrative that lasts the 45 minutes and goes from 0, down to 45 minutes. So then what we've got is we've got this story, and we know the times of the story. So we need to make a world. And now that world needs to be freely navigable around. This is why we use Unity, because we can have sort of camera that we can control going around. And so we sort of created a north, south, east, west, spring, summer, autumn, winter layout of a 3D world. And we knew, for example, that at 9 minutes we would need to be looking up in the sky, because that was when the cloud was coming in. The cloud needed to be reactive because the cloud applied to the harpsichord, whatever. Now that's quite difficult in itself. It's quite difficult that we were only doing this first half of it we were doing off the Spotify version of it. Then we got the CD, and we didn't actually get to rehearse with the Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra, who were the orchestra performing that, and Daniel Hope, until the afternoon before the performance. So we were shitting it because we just don't know. I've got no idea how much different one orchestra is from another. I don't know how much different a recorded session is from a live performance or anything like that. So we built in all these systems that would allow us to cheat, which we didn't really need, which is great because they're really quite skilled, this orchestra. Well, I'm sure they all are, but this one, they seemed awesome. And yeah, they nailed it. And so we had a little system where we just tap spacebar and it would jump the camera along. But that wasn't necessary. So what we got a camera that's moving along, essentially on train tracks, moving along saying, okay, I need to be here, and I need to rest on the huntsman as he's sleeping in front of the tree for X amount of time. Okay, I'll do that now. Now I need to be over here. And just running through this world, this 3D Unity world for 45 minutes. Did I mention it was 45 minutes long? And it worked. It doesn't work. It's not as good. The DVD's not as good. It is a live performance, and that's one of the huge things I learned is the actual value of live performances. It's so much more emotive. I'm trying to tell you all suck eggs, but I was like, shit, it's so much better live. It really makes a difference. And as such, we've tried to do it again, but it cost us so much money. We lost a huge amount of money making this. And so we'd like to do it again. Not for financial reasons, but because we loved it. And it seemed to work. It's the way that we did it, and there's a lot of logistics, but the little things, you have the orchestra at the front, you have the projection at the back. The projection relates in a very subtle way to the performance. It's not all about instant highs. It's not a sort of graphic equalizer representation. It's not the iTunes pips and bizzles. It's just this nice, flowing, comforting quilt of a performance that allows you to be more immersed. And we didn't try to upstage the orchestra, but I knew I will be. And so, for that reason, I think it just sort of seemed to work. If you'd like to know any more, please go to playnicely.co.uk or follow us on Twitter. I'm Scott, and thank you very much for your time.